On today's episode of Your Creative Lifestyle, let's discuss how to make your home a haven of comfort and joy. Now, I know this is your favorite podcast, and you're not here because I'm so perfect at this. You're here because you're looking for everyday solutions, creative ideas to solve everyday dilemmas around your home and in your business. So I'm here to give you some tips about that. And today we're going to talk about how to create a haven in your home of comfort and joy for yourself and for those you influence, friends or family, children, parents, just whoever you influence, because you influence someone every day. So here are some creative tips that you can do quickly to create a haven of comfort and joy, maybe even a little bit of elegance and sparkle, because everything looks better with sparkle, doesn't it? So today we're going to talk about the 5 senses as it relates to your home. Sight, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching or feeling. If you stimulate those 5 senses appropriately, your home will be a haven of comfort and joy. Have you ever walked down the street or sidewalk or driven down the street and you saw a house that it just pulled you in? It made you long to know the people who lived there. Maybe it was the candles in the window. You know, historically, when people would put candles in their window, that was to indicate hospitality. And years ago, it meant that travelers were welcome to stay there overnight, that the home was prepared for overnight guests of travelers who needed a place to stay. That seems so foreign to us today, doesn't it? Because everybody gets an Airbnb or a hotel and doesn't want to put anybody out for anything. But you can pretend like you're always ready for overnight guests. And then you always will be, because if you're living in your home, you are your own overnight guest, aren't you? So, to create a haven of comfort and joy, peace, calm, elegance, and sparkle, let's talk about the way the 5 senses can be stimulated so that you are drawn in, your children are drawn in, or those that you influence or are drawn in to the haven that you create in your home. So the first one let's talk about is sight, because usually that's what makes the first impression when you go down the street and you see a home that you think, oh, I would just love to live there, and see the people or know the people who live there. And I'm not talking about mansions. I'm not talking about fabulous estate homes. Now, it could be that, because the spectrum is broad of where people live. But specifically what I'm talking about is a home where you live. It can be a place that you love, whether it's a mansion or whether it's a one-room tiny home. It can be a place that you love and that people love to come see you. So, sight, seeing, the things that draw a person in. Of course, at your entry, is your porch swept? Are your steps swept? Is your sidewalk clean? Now, maybe you don't have steps and a sidewalk. You most likely do have a door. If the door is a physical door, you can hang a wreath on it. If the door is just an opening, you can hang a beautiful curtain, you can string a banner, a bunting, you can hang a beaded curtain. You can do many things to make the opening into your space beautiful. So I'm here to help you think outside the box, to think of creative ways to make your home look, see, appear welcoming. And then, is it neat and orderly? Because if you just have a path going through the space that you live where you can't see where to sit, you can't see where to eat, it won't, I think that's obvious, it won't feel like a haven of comfort and joy. So, make it clutter-free. Give yourself open spaces so that you will feel your body sigh when you look around and you see beauty. And I'm not talking about the latest trend of decorating. I'm not talking about fancy furnishings. I'm just talking about clean, orderly, open spaces. Now, for me personally, I have to see the walls. I don't want furniture lining my walls. I want to be able to see, of course, the desk over there. I can't see behind that, but my wall isn't lined where I can't see the wall. And so have it where you can feel the space in your home if possible. Another thing about feeling are the textures, the blankets, the temperature, the way the pillows feel when you sit. Some people don't like pillows. Philip, my husband, doesn't want to lean against a pillow in a chair. I do. I want a pillow behind my back when I'm sitting in a chair or on a sofa. So think through the things that you need to feel comfortable. Do you need a rug under your table so that when your shoes are off, you can feel the textures under your feet? How does your home feel with the textures and the layers that you give? Then, hearing. What do you hear in your home? Is it loud noises? Is it loud music on the TV? I know that different people like the volume to be at different levels for their enjoyment. But is it positive loudness or is it negative loudness? There is a difference. If it's a TV show where people are arguing, or if it's a comedian where everybody's laughing, there's a difference in noise, positive and negative noise. Some people like soft music. That would be me. Some people like as much silence as possible. That would be really, really me. I enjoy working in quiet, in solitude, where I can just think my own thoughts. Some people like to hear wind chimes. Some people like to hear water, the sounds of an indoor fountain, or the birds outside. I can hear the birds right now. The pleasant sounds, the sounds of children laughing. So whatever you can do to create pleasant and positive sounds for what people hear in your home, will they leave feeling encouraged? Like they want to come back there because they heard things that lifted their spirits? Or will it be criticism or fighting or noise that takes them down? Then what about taste? My kids tease me that we are an ingredient household, not a snack household. And what that means is we have ingredients to fix things to eat, and not just a ton of snack food. Now, in my defense, I do try to keep things to snack on: crackers and cheese and nuts, moon pies and Doritos, popcorn. Popcorn. That is so festive. That is so comforting. That is so tasty. Now, we don't live on junk food, but I do like when people come over to have a bowl of fruit out, a bowl of watermelon or pineapple or crackers and cheese or chips and dip. Things that when my guests come is readily accessible if they're hungry when they get there. Some bottles of water if possible, or maybe a pot of coffee if possible. But it's not necessary, but that does make your home feel like a haven, a place where your needs are met. And then, along with tasting, is smelling. How many of our memories are connected to the smell of things? Memories and smell are so interconnected, aren't they? So when your guests come over, if you could have bread baking, wouldn't that be wonderful? Or brownies or an apple pie. But what if you're not Miss Happy Homemaker and you haven't had time to do all that? Then just put a pan of water on the stove on very, very low simmer burner so it doesn't overburn. Yeah, so it doesn't get so it doesn't burn the pan dry. But put some vanilla in there, or cut up a lemon or some oranges and put in there, and the scent will fill the room. Or you could use a diffuser with essential oil. There are many ways to make your home smell good. Maybe you just need to clean your bathroom. Maybe you need to run a lemon through your garbage disposal. Maybe you need to open the windows and let fresh air come through. There are many ways to make your home smell fresh, or spray air freshener, or light a candle. There are many, many ways to stimulate the 5 senses, which will in turn create a haven of comfort and joy, of elegance, of sparkle, of encouragement to yourself and your guest and those you influence. So if you're hung up in some of these areas, I challenge you to use some of these ideas. Think creatively, think outside the box, because there are budget-friendly, creative solutions to everyday problems, things that just drive you crazy, that you just wish you could change. You have the ability to make those changes. Sometimes you just need to think about it from a different perspective. And so that's what I'm challenging you with today. With your creative lifestyle, you have the ability to do what you need to do right there in your own home to create a haven for yourself and for those you influence. So thanks for watching. Subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.